Hello everyone. Today, we are going to explore one of the most inspiring and thought-provoking stories in English literature, A Letter to God by G L Fuentes. This beautiful short story is much more than the tale of a poor farmer. It is a powerful exploration of faith, hope, human kindness, irony, and the complex relationship between trust in God and trust in fellow human beings. Set in rural Mexico, the story presents ordinary people facing extraordinary circumstances and demonstrates how belief can shape human actions. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand the complete plot, the characters, literary devices, themes, symbolism, and the deeper message hidden behind the story. Gregorio López y Fuentes was a renowned Mexican novelist and journalist. Much of his writing focused on the lives of ordinary farmers, workers, and poor villagers. Rather than portraying heroes with extraordinary powers, he celebrated the strength, dignity, and struggles of common people. His stories often combine realism with deep emotional and moral lessons. A Letter to God is one of his best-known works because it beautifully blends simplicity with profound meaning. The story takes place in a quiet farming valley in rural Mexico. On top of a hill stands a lonely house surrounded by cornfields. These fields represent the only source of income for Lencho and his family. Every grain of corn determines whether they will survive the coming year. This peaceful landscape creates an atmosphere of hope before nature suddenly changes everything.
The main character is Lencho, a hard-working farmer. Every morning he carefully observes the sky. His crops are almost ready for harvest, but they desperately need rainfall. Looking at the dark clouds gathering above the mountains, Lencho smiles confidently. He tells his family that the rain is coming. To him, rain is not just water. He compares the raindrops to new coins from heaven. Large drops are like 10 peso coins. Small drops are like 5 peso coins. This comparison immediately tells us how dependent farmers are on nature. For Lencho, rain means life. Rain means food. Rain means survival. This opening establishes the conflict between humanity and nature. The rain symbolizes hope, prosperity, and God's blessing. Lencho's confidence also introduces his strongest characteristic, his complete faith. Unlike many people, Lencho never doubts that nature will provide. The author also uses vivid imagery, allowing readers to imagine the clouds, the valley, and the excitement before the rain. The rain finally arrives. At first, everyone celebrates. The crops receive the water they desperately need. Lencho thanks God. But suddenly, the gentle rain changes. Dark clouds become violent. Strong winds begin to blow. Soon enormous hailstones start falling from the sky. The hail continues for nearly an hour. Every corn plant is destroyed. The flowers are crushed. The vegetables disappear. The entire field looks as though it has been covered with white salt. The family's dreams vanish within a single storm. After examining the field, Lencho quietly says, "This year we shall have no corn." His family realizes something terrible. There will be no harvest, no money, no food, perhaps even starvation. Nature appears in two completely different forms. First, it is generous. Then, it becomes destructive. The hailstorm symbolizes the unpredictable power of life. No matter how hard people work, some things remain beyond human control. This is the classic literary conflict called man versus nature. The sudden shift from hope to despair also increases the emotional impact of the story. Although everyone feels hopeless, Lencho remains calm. Why? Because he believes someone is always watching over honest people. That someone is God. Lencho knows how to write. So he sits down and writes a letter addressed, simply, to God. In the letter he explains that the hailstorm has destroyed everything. He requests 100 pesos, not for luxury, not for comfort, only to buy seeds and feed his family until the next harvest. He seals the envelope and confidently drops it into the mailbox. To Lencho, there is absolutely no doubt that God will read it. This moment reveals the central theme of the story: unshakable faith. Most people pray. Lencho writes a businesslike letter. This simple action surprises readers because it demonstrates absolute belief. His faith is almost childlike. The letter itself becomes a symbol of complete trust. It also raises an important question: can faith alone solve human problems? The author leaves readers thinking about this throughout the story.
The letter reaches the post office. The postman laughs. How can someone send a letter to God? The postmaster also smiles. But after reading the letter, something changes. Instead of laughing, he feels deeply moved. He doesn't want Lencho's faith to be broken, so he decides to become God's helper. He donates part of his own salary. He asks his employees to contribute. He even requests money from friends. Together, they collect only 70 pesos. Although it isn't enough, they place the money in an envelope. The sender's name is simply God. The postmaster represents the goodness of humanity. He expects no reward, no recognition. His kindness comes purely from compassion. Interestingly, although the story is titled A Letter to God, it is actually human beings who answer the prayer. The author suggests that perhaps God works through ordinary people. Human kindness becomes the visible form of divine help. Several days later, Lencho returns to the post office. He recaprized. He expected God teaves the envelope. He is not to reply. He counts the money. 70 pesos, not 100. Instead of thanking the post office, instead of appreciating the kindness, Lencho becomes angry. He refuses to believe God made a mistake. Therefore, only one explanation seems possible to him. Someone at the post office must have stolen the remaining 30 pesos. Immediately, he writes another letter. He asks God to send the remaining money, but he adds one important instruction. Don't send it through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. This ending creates one of the greatest examples of situational irony in literature. The very people who sacrificed their own money are accused of theft. Lencho's faith in God is perfect, but his faith in humanity is completely absent. This irony creates both humor and sadness. Readers appreciate the generosity of the postmaster, while also understanding Lencho's innocent misunderstanding. The ending reminds us that even sincere faith can sometimes blind us to the goodness around us.
The story teaches several valuable lessons. Faith can give people strength during difficult times. Acts of kindness often happen quietly, without recognition. We should appreciate those who help us. Blind faith should be balanced with trust in humanity. Even ordinary people can become instruments of hope for others. A Letter to God is far more than a story about a farmer writing to God. It is a reflection on human nature. Lencho teaches us the power of hope. The postmaster teaches us the beauty of generosity. The ironic ending reminds us that goodness often exists where we least expect it. Through simple language and unforgettable characters, G L Fuentes shows that while faith is important, recognizing the kindness of fellow human beings is equally essential. Thank you for listening.